I led my team in scoring.
I lead my team in scoring.
I led my team in assists.
I lead my team in rebounds.
I made the U.S. Olympic team.
I'm a member of the U.S. Olympic team.
I can run the floor and even glide.
I can run the floor, and I can run through you.
This is the NBA on NBC. The 1992 NBA playoffs. Tonight, Game 5 of the Western Conference Finals between the Utah Jazz and the Portland Trail Blazers.
Early evening in the great Northwest, embracing the winding Willamette River, the city of Portland, Oregon, host for critical Game 5 of the Western Conference Championship of the NBA. The smallest NBA arena, the Coliseum, sold out every game for 16 straight seasons. Nearly 13,000 fans beginning to express a local infliction, Blazer Mania. Hello, everyone. I'm Dick Enberg. Welcome to Portland, Oregon, and NBC's primetime coverage of the NBA playoffs. Games tomorrow, Thursday, and Friday night. It'll be Cleveland and Chicago in the East that winter to meet the winner of Portland and Utah. Here's how this series has developed. Portland won the first two games here in Portland. They knocked out Utah early. The Jazz never in those games. The scene switches to Salt Lake City for games 3 and 4. Utah wins, but Portland was in the game in the fourth quarter late. Both those games, the score doesn't reflect how competitive they were. Let's go back to Game 4 in Salt Lake. Portland All-Star Clyde Drexler, one of the Blazers, ticketed with technical fouls. He symbolized the Portland emotion, Portland frustration, Drexler's second tee.
But at the same time, they've got to give us the same respect they give the other teams. And as far as being whiners, I think we're not perfect. We make mistakes, we whine, but every team you look at does the same thing. So you can't single one team out and say they're a bunch of whiners when the other team is doing exactly the same thing, if not much more.
Well, the only thing perfect in not whining in the NBA is a coach or an ex-coach. Cotton Fitzsimmons, 19 years in the NBA with the Phoenix Suns. Most recently, he will join us along with Steve Jones, 9 years, a professional basketball star. You live here in Portland. You have to deal with the press and the players. Is this team unduly emotional?
They're not unduly emotional. It is an emotional team. But the biggest rap against them is they're too good to complain as much as they do. This is near a championship team. Bad team. They are the ones that complain. Good teams, you shut your mouth, you play the game. Portland, they tasted that champagne a couple of years ago. It's gone flat. They now want to get back to the championship round. They know they've got to leave the officials alone, maintain their focus.
Yeah, and they know, and it's being written around the country, that they can't come up with 5 technical fouls every game and still flirt with a championship.
To a man, they know they lost their poise in Game 4. They hope not to repeat it the rest of this way.
All right, Cotton Fitzsimmons for Utah. The problem is, how can they win in Portland? They've lost 8 straight times here, and how, if you were coaching the Jazz, would you see a chance for them to pick up a road win?
Well, first of all, their big three, Jeff Malone, Karl Malone, and John Stockton. They can't have average games. They must have a super game in this building and get a little help from their friends.
John Stockton and Karl Malone, you like that two-man game they play?
Well, anytime you want to free Stockton, just send Malone over to set a pick on him, where you can see now Malone moving over, setting the pick, and Buck Williams will have to jump out and try to help on John Stockton so that he cannot get to the middle. Buck didn't come out very aggressive in game 4. Stockton got in there, and that's how he's going to get some help from his friends.
Well, Cotton, you've always said get the ball in the middle and good things happen. We're set to go. Game 5, it's boiled down to best 2 out of 3. The mailman, Karl Malone, leading Utah. The all-star Clyde Drexler heads that Portland fast break. The winner of this series goes to the NBA Finals. Fans hurrying home to get their ticket on NBC for this game 5. Traditionally, Portland leading the league in television and following their beloved Trailblazers. They'll see this starting lineup for Utah: Stockton and Jeff Malone in the backcourt. The mailman, Karl Malone. Blue Edwards starts at forward. He started all of the season, but David Benoit took his job more recently in the playoffs. Benoit, our condolences to him and his family, returned home. The death of his father, 43-year-old father, yesterday. So Benoit not here. That leaves Utah shortchanged in personnel. And in the middle, their giant captain, 7'4" Mark Eaton. Former coach of the Chicago Bulls for 3 years, Jerry Sloan, in his 4th season, ready to chew on game 5 for the Trailblazers. 57 wins, most in the West. Clyde Drexler, Terry Porter, high-octane backcourt. They can score. On the front line, the thoroughbred Jerome Kersey loves to run. Buck Williams is the defender and the rebounder for the Blazers. Kevin Duckworth in the middle. Rick Adelman, Loyola of California, 1968, former player in the NBA with Portland, and in his 4th year as the Blazers head man. Let's go to Joel Myers for this report.
Dick, the new addition to the Jazz starting lineup, is no stranger to the starting 5. Blue Edwards started every game during the regular season, also started the first round of the playoffs against the Los Angeles Clippers. But Jerry Sloan decided to go with David Benoit once they got to the Supersonic series. Well, Blue said he not only lost his job, but he lost his confidence. He has it back now, though, after going 7 for 12 in game 4. And Jerry Sloan told me it's going to pay dividends for him down the road. Jerry said it's the first time he's ever come off the bench in his career, and it may have been painful for Blue, but he's already grown by the experience. Unfortunately, though, now for Jerry and the Jazz, without David Benoit, they're down to a 7-man rotation. Dick?
All right, Joel and Cotton, where will that hurt Utah most?
Well, it takes a weapon away from Jerry Sloan, especially when we see Cliff Robinson come in, because they need a taller man to guard him.
And Benoit leaper at 6'8", 6'9", at home in Lafayette, Louisiana. Underway game 5 in the den of the Coliseum in Portland. These two teams play before crowds that'll match any collegiate university basketball audience in the nation. Kersey, a little long for his range, and while he's been hitting that first jumper in this series, it rattles out, and it's John Stockton the other way in purple for the Jazz. Terry Porter picks him up. That'll be a great match both ends. Edwards takes it to the hole. Rebound, Buck Williams averaged nearly 10 a game on the regular season. Porter, Kersey around Eaton, and almost stolen by Stockton. Kersey scores.
And that is the tenacity of Jerome Kersey. He lost control of the basketball, but stayed after it, and the Utah Jazz are going to have to match that in Blue Edwards.
Jeff Malone, and Duckworth jumps out on him.
Normally, you would see the ball go inside to Mark Eaton on a mismatch, but he's got people around it.
Throws it away. It's Porter on the run with Drexler. Porter fouled by Edwards. The Blazers punish you when you turn it over. Let's look at the officials. You scout them closely, Cotton. Give us a one-liner.
Well, that's Dan Crawford, a young official, not afraid to make the call. I think he'll let the guys play tonight.
We'll get the other two after this shot by Porter, who's had a tremendous series.
Paul Mahalik, a veteran official, been in this position before. Again, another official that will let him play.
Jake O'Donnell, the crew chief in his 25th year, is the third, and he is the key man with a whistle. 4-0 on Porter's free throws.
Well, anytime Jake walks in the building and you're a coach and you're on the road, you smile because you think you're going to get a legitimate chance to win the game.
And he won't listen to the crowd, the home crowd.
He won't listen to anybody.
Blue Edwards way off the mark. Eaton saves it for a second chance Utah. Jeff Malone puts
The Jazz on the board at 4-2.
Important bucket because they need to score early.
Now, Portland said they were going to go through Drexler. That's something that they hadn't done in games 3 and 4, and we'll see how successful they are. Turnover.
Duckworth, his pass picked off by Jeff Malone. Drexler back, Malone on the run, and it's tied at 4. In the first 2 games of the series here in Portland, the Jazz just blown out early. The game was over well before the half. Clyde Drexler's first shot down the bottom of the well.
Well, you called it, Steve. They're going to go through Drexler because he felt like he didn't get the ball the last game.
The real key is right here. This matchup between Porter and Stockton. Porter forces a turnover.
Stockton thought he was fouled. Buck Williams scores at the other end. And the Blazer lead is 4. 2 of them on turnovers. 4 of the 8 points, 2 baskets on the turnover. Here comes Porter. Only Eaton to beat, and he'll slow it up. No company. 3-pointer.
2 Trailblazers knocked that ball away from each other, but what Portland is intent on doing early is establishing an up-tempo game. They want the Jazz up and down. They don't want to allow them to get into this half-court set, which can be dominated by the Malone.
Nice pass by Malone to Edwards. His shot blocked and has to take it back out. New 24-second clock. Malone playing outside. Buck Williams says, I'll give you all you can eat out there, and that one tasted pretty good.
That's game 4. That's exactly what he did, and Buck told us yesterday he's got to hit that shot. He certainly did.
Duckworth. Williams gets the offensive rebound. Duckworth and Eaton. Drexler, it doesn't fall, and Edwards for Utah the other way. Jazz looking for a tying field goal. Nearly 4 minutes gone, opening quarter.
Here comes the favorite play for him right here. Malone into that low post area.
Into Malone, and it's rejected by Kersey.
Jerome Kersey has already shown twice that he's not going to allow any shots to get deep into the post. First on Blue Edwards. Karl Malone thought he could power his way through. Kersey wipes that one away.
Wide open is Eaton, and the Giant center drops it in off an assist from Stockton. Stockton #1 in the game the last several years. Magic Johnson's all-time record, as he is admitted, in jeopardy. Stockton someday will lead all those statistics.
Well, what happened there? Duckworth went out thinking Stockton was open, and he just totally left Eaton alone underneath, and Mark's not going to miss a shot like that.
Well, the tiptoe jam gets him a foul against Drexler, and that's one of the things that Portland wants to try to avoid early is Drexler in foul trouble.
Unable to convert the three-point play. It's tied at the 8-minute mark of the opening period. Drexler working on Malone. Clyde Drexler. Kersey with a rebound. Porter takes it to the hole. Right around Eaton. 4 points for Terry Porter.
And Porter looked at Jake O'Donnell and says, I want a foul, but Jake told him to go at the other end.
Porter averaging 28.5 points in the series.
And notice how they're making Stockton back up and pick up the ball. That really takes Utah out of the position they'd like to be.
Malone. Kersey with a rebound. They like to take it into the offensive end in a hurry, and a foul by Stockton. He nods yes to Jake O'Donnell, who called it.
When you can force John Stockton backwards, and that's what Buck Williams does. Now see how far he's out. Now he has to pick up the ball. That stretches the offensive scheme for the Utah Jazz. They come out with a poor effort.
Duckworth and Eaton. Kevin Duckworth's first basket, and Portland leads by 4.
What the Jazz don't want to see happen, Cotton, is to get down early. They're not a team that can come from behind on the road very well, so they got to stay close early. Illegal defense.
They caught them with the illegal defense. They started it with their favorite two-man game, and it spread the floor out, and it cost them an illegal defense.
6:45 left in the opening quarter. Utah ball when we return. Captain Mark Eaton, a great story out of high school, not recruited as a basketball player, so he took up auto mechanics. We ask him if he can still handle that wrench, fix the old automobile.
Fortunately, when I was an auto mechanic, it was before electronic ignition, and you know, now I think you have to be pretty much an electrical engineer to be able to fix anything. But anything before about 1975, I can take care of.
He met his wife, Marcy, who was working in an auto parts store. She said, I don't know what I've done to her. She didn't know that my life would be a professional basketball player. She still thinks she married an auto mechanic.
Well, Cotton, you as a coach have searched under a lot of things for players. You ever been under a car?
No, and I guarantee if I was under, you couldn't see me, but if he's under, you're still going to see.
12-8, Portland leads. 6:40 left in the opening quarter. Here they run Stockton out away from that two-man game. Edwards to Eaton for the soft hook. Drexler rebounds, and here come the Blazers. Every Blazer starter has scored.
Some of the Trailblazers are passing up shots that they could make to get more movement. Now they're going against the clock. Duckworth.
Duckworth with 4. Portland leads by a half dozen.
Well, Rick Adelman indicated that he wanted better ball movement in this game.
All right, you bring up that thought about ball movement, but how critical is it? When you got a shot, you got to take it, right?
Well, I think in most cases you got to take it, but if your ball club is strictly playing one-on-one and they're not moving the ball and moving themselves, I think you'll find yourself in trouble.
Duckworth's first foul. Tyrone Corbin comes in for Utah.
Now look at Stockton being ran way out in the court. They're going to say, Blue Edwards, you beat us.
But they're doing a better job right now of making Stockton back up. But when he has to pick up that ball, that's when you really have a chance to control him. That time, a quick spurt in by Terry Porter and the whistle.
Well, it was the first time that John Stockton got to the middle without Buck Williams being there.
Porter's first foul. Ty Corbin, 23, seeing his first duty for the Jazz. Karl Malone handcuffed by that quick pass from Stockton. He has perhaps as good a set of hands as anyone in the game. That's a rarity to see him muffle. 14-8, Portland on the attack. Duckworth fouled by Malone. Karl Malone.
Now, to me, Cotton, this is the most dangerous kind of ball movement. When the ball goes in the direction of the goal and you can do something with it. That's north-south. When it goes east-west, it seems like if you don't make the shot, you wasted your time.
Well, the good thing about it, they put it in the right guy's hand. Clyde Drexler, and Eaton came over and thought he was going to help, and that's why Duck's on the line.
His 5th point, big Duck from Eastern Illinois. The Panthers grew up in the Chicago area, acquired in '86.
I really thought the crowd got into that because they didn't think they would get any calls against Karl Malone, and they did call the foul on him.
16-8 Portland. Jeff Malone can't connect. It's batted out by Eaton right to Porter. Drexler on the run. Yes, sir. It's a 10-point game. Timeout. Jerry Sloan and the Jazz. A 20-second timeout.
Did Clyde Drexler say before the game that he could glide? He certainly glided on that play.
What Portland has done this afternoon is be very aggressive in forcing the tempo of the game. In games 3 and 4, they didn't do it. In 1 and 2, they did. They have these kind of results. They have Utah now in a position early in the ball game that Jerry Sloan does not like, where they have to fight uphill.
Not many players in the NBA are better when they get the ball at midcourt going towards their basket than Clyde Drexler. It's about impossible to stop him.
Teams and players hate to see him out in the open court, and Portland has outscored the Jazz 10-0.
Karl
Karl Malone has his first point. Make that 4 now for Karl. To the 5-minute mark, opening quarter. Buck Williams stripped, gets it back, and it's blocked out of bounds.
Those are the great hands that you're talking about with Karl Malone that he doesn't get enough credit for. He plays excellent defense with his hands. Buck Williams had great position. He slapped the ball away. Mark Eaton knocked it out of bounds.
Quarter surviving a push from Stockton. No whistle. The crowd wanted the foul. Duckworth around Eaton. Kevin Duckworth has 8 early points.
And I see Mike Brown going to the table. I think he wants to get a quicker man in there than Eaton.
Well, Duckworth is pumped up right now, and they got to continue to go through him. He had 8 points in game 4, and they never saw him again throughout the first half.
Tyrone Corbin gets his first shot, wired from the Minnesota Timberwolves. Percy against Corbin. Answers at the other end, and the Blazers maintain the 10-point advantage.
Jazz are playing a very soft defense. Cotton, as a coach, how can you get them to get in there and start getting after the Blazers?
Got to pick them up a little further out.
Jeff Malone. Eaton. Corbin over Eaton. He's 2 for 2.
Actually, nobody's guarding him because Kersey's trying to help out on everybody else.
Drexler. Buck Williams with the offensive rebound and draws the foul.
When Portland is right, they do this better than anybody in the NBA, and that's offensive rebound. They will just wear you down on the glass. Eaton not happy with this position.
And it's interesting that the Jazz won the second chance points in game 4, and that's probably what was the difference in the game.
Williams with 5 rebounds already, 2 of those on the offensive end. Has his 3rd point. Cliff Robinson, and this is the talented young man from the University of Connecticut at 6'10" that should cause deep problems matching up for Utah. Especially with Benoit home for his father's funeral. Robinson replaces Jerome Kersey. Mike Brown, the Bear. There's Buck Williams cleaning the boards again. 6 for him already. Still no 3-point shots for the Blazers, who were 2nd in most attempts in the league this year and have been burning them up in the playoffs. Duckworth, he leads them all with 10 points. He's been averaging only 11.5 in the playoffs. They haven't been able to stop Duckworth. Timeout, Utah.
Earlier, this is what I said would happen tonight, because you're going to see the Jazz try to set up their 2-man game with Stockton right there coming off the dribble. The 2-man is set, but look at Buck Williams all the way out here, and also Porter will follow him out. There's no way that he's going to get in the middle on that type of defense.
Trail Blazers turning up their defense a notch with Buck Williams spearheading that. He's been assigned Karl Malone, an unenviable task, but perhaps plays the mailman as well as anyone in the league.
He does a great job of bodying him, trying to keep him off the blocks, but if you don't have pressure on John Stockton, no one's going to hold him out of that position. Buck understands that.
Corbin inside to Karl Malone, can't hit the layup. Corbin saves. Drexler gets him from behind. Jump ball. Nice block by Clyde Drexler. Corbin didn't realize he was just waiting for him to lift up for the shot.
Corbin thought he had a clean look, and you can see that Drexler is clearly on top with Cliff Robinson intimidating in front.
Corbin wins the tap, and then Malone is fouled. Cliff Robinson's first. Only the second trip to the free throw line by Jazz players. Certainly not the pattern over in Salt Lake City, where Portland fans complained that the Jazz were wearing out the wood going to the charity.
But it's still early, Dick, and they still may get to the line if they take the ball inside to Karl Malone.
Well, Malone could get there blindfolded. He had more than 200 more free throw attempts than any other player in the league. You'd think Michael Jordan would be there way ahead of Michael and the rest of the league. 10-point lead, Portland. Down to 2.5 minutes in the opening quarter. Blazers red hot as they've been in the other 2 home games of this series. And Cliff Robinson joins the scoring parade. Stockton around Duckworth.
If the Jazz are going to get back in this, they got to find a way to get some cheap points. They cannot grind it out and hope that Portland becomes a perimeter team and makes a lot of mistakes for them.
Second foul on Duckworth.
So far, Rick Adelman's defense has done the job. They have kept Stockton out of the middle. And when he gets to the middle, he's able to pass to anybody.
Mike Brown won on the penalty for the Jazz. Brown from George Washington University. Finished his degree in 3.5 years in criminal justice. He looks the part, doesn't he? Jerome Kersey returns, and Kevin Duckworth with 2 fouls, rested by Portland. Final 2 minutes. Period number 1. Stockton, who led the league in steals, averaging nearly 3 a game, as is first tonight. Edwards back in for Utah. Karl goes to work on Cliff Robinson and hits the turnaround jumper. 8 points for the mailman. 8 points the lead, Portland. Drexler, one all-star, answering another.
When Drexler's down deep, he can overpower Blue Edwards and Jeff Malone, so they've got to keep him out of that position.
Illegal defense, and that'll cost Portland a technical foul. They're warning once, and then the second and ensuing illegal defenses. Technical foul, 1 shot, and the ball. Terry Porter caught covering an area.
Well, again, you can see John Stockton trying to get into the middle, and look at Buck Williams all the way out at midcourt. There's just no way he can get to the middle, and Porter drops back in the middle again. So they are really clogging up the middle on John Stockton.
Danny Ainge makes his first appearance as Terry Porter rested. Now it's Cliff Robinson and Ainge double teaming Stockton. Karl Malone. And Cliff Robinson rebounds. Here comes Ainge. He's a potent outside shooter. Plenty of playoff experience with the Boston Celtics. Has a couple of NBA championship rings. And it's Ainge from BYU, stripped of the ball and then caught off balance, had nowhere to go and ran over Corbin.
That's a shooter for the Utah Jazz. Ainge coming hard to the hoop, lost control of the ball and continued on with his drive.
It was Stockton, another steal for him.
Well, he's tough. You got to watch Stockton. Anytime you go by Stockton, it's not over yet. He's gonna reach around and try to deflect the basketball.
Smallest man on the court at 6'1" from Gonzaga University in Spokane. But pound for pound, many would say as tough as anyone in the league. He is tenacious.
Now, that conversation right there, Stockton is working something for later on. Hit Paul Mahalik, and it looks like a friendly conversation, but something is being set up here by John Stockton.
Yeah, he wants the call. I don't know whether Danny Ainge is holding him or what he's doing, but he wants a call later on. You're absolutely right, Steve.
Final minute, opening quarter, Trailblazers by 8. Drexler around Edwards to dunk. Oh, that first step of Drexler, so deceptive.
He did not attack Blue Edwards like that in Salt Lake City. He allowed Blue Edwards to poke the ball away from him and get the Jazz some turnover.
A little over 5-second difference in the shot clock and game clock. Knocked away by Robinson. 3 seconds on the shot clock for Utah.
In Salt Lake City, Blue Edwards is able to get up and tap at the ball. This time, Drexler goes baseline away from the traffic and a thundering effort on the baseline.
Stockton's first shot of the game blocked by Robinson. And they don't get the shot off, apparently. 24-second violation thanks to Cliff Robinson's block of Stockton's outside jumper. So Portland has nearly 5.5 seconds to get off the final shot of the period. Who takes it here, Cotton?
Well, you can see, you know, any time that Stockton gets the basketball, they're not going to let him in the middle. They just brought in Porter, so they might get a good chance for a three here.
It's Drexler, fall away, and it almost went. End of the first quarter, and the home team has a 10-point advantage. That difference reflected in the 10 points scored by their big starting center, Kevin Duckworth. 32-22, Portland. As they go to Game 5 tomorrow night. And a reminder here on NBC, primetime coverage of the playoffs the rest of these weeknights. Game 5 from Chicago tomorrow night. Thursday night will be in Salt Lake City at the Delta Center for Game 6 of this series. Then Game 6, Chicago at Cleveland on Friday night at 9 o'clock Eastern Time. Start the second quarter, Portland leading 32-22. Both teams had 22 shots in the opening quarter, but Portland made 5 more than Utah, 13-8, and that's the difference. Malone and Buck Williams. Stockton from outside for 3. Rebound Corbin. Tries to take it back up. No whistle, and Ainge comes out of the pack with it. Percy. He loves to run the floor, and it's beautiful to watch him. He's the perfect basketball athlete.
He's a great compliment to what Portland likes to do in the open court, because he'll block a shot or make a hustle play, fill the lane, and get a chance to finish.
Tyrone Corbin has to get it up on the glass in a hurry. Percy was ready to fly swat it away.
And one of the few times that Stockton's able to get down the lane.
If he's going to get down the lane, though, he's going to get down there against Danny Ainge. He's quicker. He knows he's got an advantage there. Cliff Robinson thought he had a block. Jake O'Donnell says no.
Lou Edwards with a steal at the other end set up the break.
Well, you can see Stockton there hesitates. Now he goes back the other way against Ainge, dishes it off to Ty Corbin for the easy 2.
You had Tyrone Corbin, but let him go.
Yeah, I'm pretty dumb director of player personnel, let me tell you that right now. One of the best offensive rebounders in the game, and probably the biggest mistake that I have made since I went to Phoenix.
And a terrific team player as well.
Well, he's just blended in so well. He came over there for Thurl Bailey, who was a very popular player, but they forgot about Thurl real quick as soon as Ty came in and started doing his job.
You saw Corbin averaging 8 points a game in the playoffs, has 9 already tonight. Drexler and Edwards. Robinson over Karl Malone. And another offensive rebound. This time it's Percy giving the Blazers a second chance, and Ainge for 3. Danny Ainge, and that ties him for the number 2 spot for trays in playoff history. Michael Cooper of the Lakers, the all-time shooter from long range.
Drexler now will come up and really try to give some aggressive pressure on Jeff Malone. They've got Corbin, Edwards in the ball game with Jeff Malone. They're not good ball handlers, but Ty Corbin is hot tonight. He's giving them that lift off the bench.
Corbin with 11 already. His high for the year for Utah was 23. Ainge again, 2-pointer. Edwards knocked it away from Karl Malone. Percy misses out of bounds to Portland. And with that, a timeout. Just under 2 minutes gone in the second quarter. The Trail Blazers in the lead. Blazer mania. And the home court so critical in these Western series. Neither team want to lose in front of the home folks, and part of it is the boisterous crowd support. Michael Cooper is the all-time three-point shooter, made 124 before retiring from the Lakers. Danny Ainge is now tied Laker Byron Scott, and Terry Porter, who's had 30 trays in these total playoffs and 14 in this series, is galloping after the leaders.
As I look at those 4 guys, I think they got them all against me.
No basket. Yes, a basket and a foul. Buck Williams following the missed shot. Mike Brown the foul.
Now, Cotton Fitzsimmons can now sympathize with Jerry Sloan, who's walking back and forth in front of that bench, trying to figure out, how do I stop these plays from happening? There's an easy shot, but the breakdown right there with Brown pushing him in the back.
Too many second scoring opportunities for the Blazers here thus far in the ballgame. That's why they're up 11.
Karl Malone is out, and Mark Eaton is in.
So now the Jazz down 11 and perhaps 12 with a shot by Williams. They'll try to muster a rally without their top player, Karl Malone, second best scorer in the NBA. Mike Brown dribbles it off his knee, out of bounds to the Blazers.
Karl Malone can make that play. Mike Brown can't. One dribble too many, and it's a turnover.
Ainge inside, sets up Robinson. Robinson runs into the man from the Wasatch Mountains, Mark Eaton. Jeff Malone. Ripped down by Jerome Kersey. Terry Porter checking the floor as he moves into the offensive end. Ainge for 2. Right to Eaton. Portland by 12. Malone hits that one. Jeff Malone was 6. And Stockton with another assist. 5 for Stockton. Terrific matchup defensively, Stockton and Porter.
Robinson trying to find Mark Eaton before he takes a shot.
Jerome Kersey with a basket, Eaton with a foul.
Well, you see Porter driving here. Eaton stepped up, blocked him, and Porter did the right thing. He dished it off. The play before, Cliff Robinson tried to shoot it and just barely got it out of his hands for a turnover. So Porter says, okay, if you're going to step up, somebody's open. He found Kersey on the baseline, a chance to get a three-point play.
What that last replay showed is that if you can move Mark Eaton, you can get a foul against him. They moved him. He couldn't react quickly enough, and that's when Kersey ended up with a foul and a chance for the three-point play.
And a 13-point lead, the biggest for the Blazers in the half. Kersey now with 8 points and 5 rebounds. Duckworth back in, and Buck Williams is out. So Karl Malone on the bench. Adelman says, let's put Duckworth in there. Ooh. Whistle in the foul. As
offensive foul against Ty Corbin. Out of control. He was trying to get to the hoop.
His first.
Against the shot clock, Ty Corbin coming hard. Danny Ainge steps in the lane. On top of it, the ball slapped away anyway, and he picks up the personal foul.
A veteran player like Ainge knows he can't block the shot, so what's he going to do? Get in front so he can get the ball back.
Karl Malone brings his talent back on the court. 8 points, 3 rebounds, but it's been a different story. Malone in Portland in the series, and Karl's scoring productivity in Salt Lake City. Robinson. And a foul. That'll be the third if it's on Eaton. It is.
Eaton picks up the third personal foul, but Cliff Robinson, if he's going to be successful in completing these plays and getting to the line, is going to have to go up and not away from the hoop.
You got to go around Mark Eaton. Take that one extra dribble and go around him. He's not mobile enough to block your shot if you go around him. You go into him, and you're going to get hurt. We pointed that out.
Cliff Robinson
buries that free throw.
He tried to make sure that the refs know I'm talking to myself. Now don't get on me now.
Mike Brown pulls it down for Utah, trailing by 14. This has been the pattern for the Jazz here in Portland. Tyrone Corbin, a pretty assist from Stockton, and Corbin now with 13. Blazers felt they had a chance to win both games in Salt Lake City, and indeed in the fourth quarter. Kickball against the Blazers after the steal by Stockton. Robinson kicked it.
Again, John Stockton making the pass. Cliff Robinson came up for some reason and left him wide open underneath. He thought he was going to come up and set that back straight.
And one of the things that you have to do with Stockton is you got to stay ready. And Porter that time went to sleep for just a second, and the results tied Corbin right at the hoop.
Again, they pressure Stockton back. Finally into Malone. Mike Brown, the offensive rebound. Malone from outside. And a whistle. Basket counts.
Mike Brown.
Foul on Brown is second. Basket does count, and it's a 10-point lead once again.
You see Sloan and the problem that he has without Benoit. He now has to go deeper into the bench. Thornton is getting out of his warm-ups, and this is not a prime-time play.
No, he's not. So that's what we said. One of the weapons are gone tonight. It's going to be tough for him.
See if Portland goes back to Duckworth, who was hot in the first half. I mean, in the first quarter.
Working on the shorter Brown. Misses that one, and Karl Malone gets it to Jeff. Stockton for three. A big three, the first for Utah tonight, and that carves into the lead, makes it a 7-point game. Percy around the shorter Corbin. Percy with 11. Well, he's been tough throughout the entire playoffs. Malone likes to work the baseline. Corbin clears out to Stockton. Boy, Drexler was looking for the steal. Mike Brown didn't travel, although the crowd at that end thought so. 4 points for the Bear. Just under 6 minutes to go, first half. Drexler over Jeff Malone. Misses everything. And Jerry Sloan, who was a defensive giant in his playing days in the NBA, likes what he sees. Timeout.
I think that any NBA family that makes it this far in the playoffs definitely experiences a good deal of stress and anxiety. It's a very exciting yet frustrating moment.
Thank you for the time. Dick?
Thank you, Joel. And it's Tyrone Corbin with 15. And once a Portland 14-point lead has been knocked down to 5 with 5:20 to go in the half.
Portland has been out on the perimeter, and that's allowed the Jazz to get back in it, trying to get Duckworth free.
Percy from outside. And a push-off. Might be Drexler. No. It was Buck Williams, not Clyde. Mrs. Gaynell Drexler, an attorney and involved in the ballet company here in Portland. And,
well, that's a great acting job by Karl Malone as he just threw himself backward, got the whistle.
How do those big guys fall so easily? Ball is kicked to Utah.
I thought I just said that Danny Hughes was the best. Give me one more shot of that, and we're going to put Malone for the Oscar.
46-41. The Trailblazers lead seemed very much in command with a 14-point lead at the 8-minute mark of this second quarter. Stockton, and that would have really pulled the Jazz close. Karl Malone deflects it to Corbin. It's Stockton 3-on-3. Corbin, 2 more? Yes, 46-43. Tyrone Corbin, a brilliant 17-point first half.
Corbin has been the spark plug that they have been looking for to keep them in the ball game. And now Portland, who is doing it with the defense and had good high percentage shots, has to carve it out all over again.
Duckworth working on Bob Thornton. And he travels. Thornton, who's just in the game and being used, he was only in first two games here in Portland, that was when the game was well decided late. Scored 5 points in game 1, 2. In game 2, he went to UC Irvine. Picked up late in the year by Utah. 13-2 run for the Jazz. It's Corbin with a hot hand. And Duckworth collects for Portland. Here come the Blazers. 3-point lead. Deflected out of bounds by Corbin on the defensive end.
Anytime you're going to help out on John Stockton and help out on Karl Malone, somebody has to be open. It happens to be Ty Corbin, and he's hitting him.
Terry Porter. Porter, who's been quiet, has 8 points now.
Portland had been doing a good job of having John Stockton back up. He's now got a rhythm where he's going forward, and the defense is going to have to readjust.
Jeff Malone not there. Buck Williams has another rebound. Karl Malone knocks it out of bounds. It was intended for Clyde Drexler. Porter looks back at Rick Adelman for the play call. And Jeff Malone with a steal. And then it's taken away by Buck Williams, and it'll be a jump ball.
The Jazz defensively now are forcing some turnovers, and that has made a difference for them. In the first quarter of play, Portland had free movement of the ball and people. Jeff Malone steps in, gets the ball away from Drexler. Buck Williams comes back to tie him up.
Williams at 6'8", 3 inches taller, and easily controls the tap. Corbin on Percy. Porter hits 2 in a row. So the Jazz pull within 3, and then Porter hits back-to-back baskets, and the Jazz call time by 3:09 left in the opening half. All right, Bob. So Doug Moe goes back to Philadelphia. Does that surprise you, Cotton?
It really does. It surprised me. I thought they were going to keep Jimmy lineup, so I guess we're going to see a running Philadelphia team for a change.
And we're also going to see somebody that can deal with Charles Barkley.
John Stockton to Jeff Malone. 50-45 Portland. Just under 3 minutes to go. Tyrone Corbin has kept the Jazz in this first half with 17 points and 3 rebounds. 7 for 9 shooting for Corbin. Out of DePaul, drafted in '85 by San Antonio.
And with a small lineup in, Portland ought to be thinking go to the basket. They haven't seen much of it. Stockton knocks that one away.
Stockton, as you said before, Cotton, he loves to play defense on all 5 in, not just his own.
And that's what really frustrates the other team, because every time you think you're open, you look up and the little guys around knocking the basketball away.
4 on the shot clock.
Lob to Drexler. Ooh, look at that Percy fly. And a foul. No shot. Thornton has his first foul. And again, the offensive power by Portland earning extra chances and now a trip to the line.
That play started with Drexler's strength against Jeff Malone, and then the ball popped out after a Kersey attempted dunk right back to Clyde Drexler.
Drexler's 9th point, first from the line. And studying his Spanish, he was studied in high school, worked constantly through the years. Maybe knew a long time ago Barcelona was in his future. Williams running out on Stockton as they double team. Edwards the runner. Gets it back. Block. Buck Williams rejected it, and it's Kersey at the other end. Lays a lead back to 8.
And you have to give Buck Williams a big assist on getting that play for Portland, because he's the guy that forced Stockton backward.
Edwards off the glass. Edwards his first points of the game. And Terry Porter, who has been shooting over 60% from 3-point range in this series, has his first today. brings the crowd into the game, and Buck Williams with a rebound and a 2-on-1 break. Drexler on the go. Kersey again. Oh, how he can finish. Jerome Kersey. Can't even hear the whistle.
Aggressive defensive effort by the Trailblazers, and when they can force a team to make a mistake, and they have numbers, and two of the guys that are the best in getting out on the floor, Drexler and Kersey. Kersey, a thundering effort that time.
Boy, he runs like a quarter miler. The foul is on Porter. Stockton trying to set up Thornton, and another Portland foul. Kersey with a foul.
And again, we're going to see it in the same type of play again, and Kersey does it again. The crowd was waiting for that. They've been waiting for it. And to be honest with you, Dick, it seems like I've been here before.
How does it feel?
It feels better over here than it did over where Jerry Sloan happens to be.
Stockton already double figures in assists, and now with 7 points. Looking for the lob, and Drexler is shouting for the ball. Porter around Thornton, blocked by Malone, but Duckworth gets the easy follow. 11-point lead in the final seconds of this half. Just a little over 2-second difference in the two clocks. They run 2-minute Stockton. Inside to Thornton. He's rejected. Malone gets it, scores, and he is fouled. I believe Duckworth flying out got him. And if so, that's his third. Well, that's a big goal for Utah.
As you're going to see here, a super goal for them, because as you go into halftime, the Blazers have owned this last 2.5 minutes. That bucket is going to play big in the Utah Jazz mind, because here's a chance to cut it back when it looked like they could have got blown out.
Certainly they were headed for double digits before the intermission. Now they're down 8.
3-point play by Jeff Malone. Final shot for Portland. Drexler takes it coast to coast, loses the ball. Boy, was he going by here. He created a small gale, and Stockton hit, I believe, in the face somehow during that streak down court by the Blazers' Drexler. And he went down as if somebody hit him with a hammer. Well, we'll check on the condition of John Stockton as this first half has come to an end. We'll have a complete report for you. Maybe we can pick it up on this second look.
Drexler was coming down. Stockton goes up. Caught a hand right across the cheek.
Might have been in the eye then.
Man, he's all right. He's a tough guy.
Squinting with that eye as if he might have been caught by Drexler's. Yeah, right there. Poked him in the eye. Appeared in the right eye, and holding that right eye shut, Stockton leaves the court. You'll see it here. Watch the right side of the face of Stockton. Right there, just as Drexler went by. Obviously no intent, and now without John Stockton, the Utah Jazz would not be nearly the same team. We'll get a full report for you from Joel Myers at halftime. So it is 60-52 at the intermission. We'll be joining Bob Costas and Quinn Buckner for the Prudential halftime report after these messages.
Coliseum in Portland, the Blazers lead the Jazz 60-52, an 8-point difference, but this is as close as Utah has been at halftime in any of the 3 games in Portland. They were down 28 at the half in Game 1, 13 at halftime of Game 2. Bob Costas back in New York with a possible piece of news coming out of Philadelphia this evening. We've learned from several sources that Doug Moe, who last coached in the NBA in 1990 with the Denver Nuggets, will be introduced as the 76ers' new coach tomorrow morning at a 10:30 a.m. press conference in Philadelphia. That means that Jim Lynam is out as coach, but he's in as the 76ers' new general manager. When will the other shoe drop? Well, it's unclear what the status of Gene Shue, the current GM, is, although he apparently will be retained in some capacity in player personnel. A short while ago, we got the reaction of Sixers forward Ron Anderson.
I knew that just given our season, you know, and how things went, I knew that there were going to be several changes made. If not, then it's something that I probably wouldn't understand, because we do need a change. If not in personalities.
Your reaction to this?
Well, I think for
Quinn
Philadelphia...
Buckner, by the way, ladies and gentlemen.
That's me.
Quinn Buckner of NBA Showtime. Failed to give you the proper introduction. Here he is.
Very nice. I think it's very good for Philadelphia, because I tell you what is going to happen here. Doug Moe is the kind of guy, they'll run up and down the court, but he's the kind of person I think can handle the personality that you have with Charles Barkley. I think Barkley needs somebody that he respects. They needed a change, and I think Doug Moe will give them that change.
So this is an early indication to you that they're not going to trade Barkley?
It seems to indicate to me they're not going to indicate Barkley. That's correct.
Okay. Well, Game 5 in the Eastern Conference Finals will be tomorrow night in Chicago, 9 o'clock Eastern Time, with the Bulls and Cavs tied at 2 games apiece. One of the big stories in this series has been the play of Scottie Pippen. In the Bulls' 2 wins versus Cleveland, Pippen has shot well and averaged 26 a game. But in the 2 losses, he shot poorly and scored only 12 a game. Earlier today, Pippen talked with our Peter Vesey.
I wasn't much involved in the offense. Only took 3 shots, and I mean, for me to score, I gotta have more than 3 shots. I gotta be able to play and push the ball, and the game was slowed down to a half-court game, and I wasn't involved in a half-court game.
It has been an up-and-down playoff season for Scottie Pippen.
I think Scottie Pippen really suffers in a half-court game. What I really think he is a great athlete, but his understanding of the game is starting to improve. I don't think it's solid enough yet that in the half-court game he can exploit his skills. If it's up and down, and Phil Jackson would rather them run at home than on the road, most coaches are that way. That's not unusual. Scottie's got to assert himself.
Okay, after 2 games in Cleveland, Lenny Wilkens is back on the road tomorrow night for Game 5 in Chicago as his Cavaliers try to break through on the road again. This has been a very strange series, Lenny. It's close in that obviously it's 2-2, but none of the games have been close. You have any insight as to why?
Well, I'll tell you, we came off a very emotional series with the Boston Celtics, and we had a natural letdown in that first game. And when you're on the road, it's very difficult to overcome that. The home team has a better chance of doing it. We came home and we knew we had to come out and play well. It's just been sort of up and down, and for the Cavaliers, it's the first time they've been this far, and emotions had a lot to do with it. I think that you'll see that both teams will settle down from here on out.
Dating back to Michael Jordan's fabled shot that ended a playoff series between the Bulls and the Cavs a few years ago, the Cavs had lost 11 straight to Chicago coming into this year. You beat them twice in the regular season. You've split the first 4 games in the playoffs. You've won twice at Chicago Stadium. If nothing else, you've reasserted yourself against a team that had your number.
Well, we certainly have, and I think the thing is that, you know, that was in the past. That was 3 years ago, and in between that time, we were devastated with a number of injuries, which everyone seems to forget. You know, 2 years ago, Brad Daugherty and Larry Nance hardly played. Last year, Mark Price, along with John Williams, were out most of the year. And when you lose key personnel, it's very difficult to compete against a good team. We'd be in the game, but we just could not finish it off. And you're right, they were very good. This year, when we got everybody healthy, we were able to compete with Chicago.
One last question, Lenny, before we let you go. What's the condition of Mark Price? A couple of nights ago, he was in the hospital. He had the virus. It limited his play and his effectiveness yesterday. What's his status for tomorrow?
Well, right now, Mark is feeling much better. His stomach has settled down. You know, he's gotten medication. He's feeling a lot better, and certainly will be ready to go tomorrow.
Lenny, thanks very much. We'll talk to you again soon.
Okay.
Okay, that, of course, was Mark Price entering the game in Cleveland yesterday. One sad note from the world of basketball. Danny Biasone, the man credited with inventing the 24-second clock, passed away yesterday in Syracuse at the age of 83. Biasone was the owner of the Syracuse Nationals back in the 50s when he convinced his fellow owners that the game was simply too slow and too low scoring and wouldn't survive without a major change. How did he arrive at 24 seconds? Well, he took the 48 minutes of play multiplied by 60, so each game had 2,880 seconds. Biasone said that each team should take 60 shots, 120 between them. 2,880 divided by 120 is 24. Simple and yet brilliant. Our sympathies go out to the family of Danny Biasone. Up next, we'll give you an update on the French Open and visit with the new host of The Tonight Show, Jay Leno. That's right after this message from Prudential and a word from the NBA. Play continued today at the French Open in Paris, where tournament officials are investigating an incident involving Czechoslovakian Karl Novacek, who, after losing his match to American Derek Rostagno, took a swing at Rostagno as the players shook hands after the match.
When the authorities see that on the replay, they should fine him and probably even go so far as to ban him.
Well, nothing terribly violent, but worth an investigation, I guess. Seeded players advancing on the women's side included defending champ Monica Seles, sporting her new darker hairdo. As you can plainly see, there's her new darker hairdo. And others to move to the second round were Gabriela Sabatini, Jennifer Capriati, Conchita Martinez, and Katerina Maleva. On the men's side, Stefan Edberg, Pete Sampras, Peter Korda, Yvonne Lendl, and Andre Agassi all advanced. The only seeded player to lose today was number 15, Brad Gilbert. Unseeded John McEnroe lost in 4 sets to 21-year-old Nicholas Coulty in what McEnroe says was his final appearance as a singles player at the French Open. But he starts a second career this weekend on NBC when John moves to our broadcast booth to join Bud Collins and Chris Evert. NBC's coverage from Paris starts tomorrow night when Bud and Chris have a French Open update at halftime of Game 5 of the Eastern Conference Finals, joined by Vidal Sassoon to comment on Monica Seles's new hairdo. And now let's go out to Burbank and join Jay Leno, settling in as the new host of The Tonight Show and looking darn good and comfortable about it. Jay?
Bob, let me congratulate you on that scoop with the hairdo story.
Yeah.
Fine work on your part.
We pride ourselves. We pride ourselves on that kind of thing, Jay.
Yeah, and having Vidal out there, boy, the game has certainly changed since my day.
Who do you have tonight, Jay?
Who do we have tonight? Do we have Tom Cruise is here tonight? Simply Red and Kathy and Jimmy, but we're holding it until after the game is over. You know, Branford, we're all big NBA fans, so not until the game is over will we come on. What do we have to? I think it's 60-52, isn't it?
That's
last time I looked.
You got the A-list guess. You have Simply Red.
Simply Red and Tom Cruise, and we couldn't get you because we weren't allowed to go into the B list. But anyway, you know.
And of course, we're counting on you for the strong lead-in into Letterman and later. So hold up your end of the bargain, okay?
Oh yeah. I think it goes me, Letterman, Two Love Connection to Stud, Hogan's Hero, then later with Bob Costas, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah.
Yes, and that's pretty much the way things stand here. We'll check you later.
Any more news on that hair story? If you could keep us posted on that, I think you're doing terrific work.
We'll fax you if anything comes in.
And let me know any more news on Lendl's ingrown toenail, too.
Yep, we have a full medical team working on it, and we'll return
Thank you. That's why you're where you are.
Yeah, exactly. We'll return with second half action while you think about that. The Blazers and the Jazz, right after these messages from your local station. I'm so proud.
This has been the Prudential Halftime Report, brought to you by the companies of the Prudential. In a changing world, one thing remains rock solid: the Prudential.
Back to the Portland Coliseum, where the news is both good and bad for the Utah Jazz. This is the closest they've been at halftime in the playoff games here in Portland. That's the good news, down by only 8. They were trailing by 14 in that second quarter, pulled within 3-8 at the intermission. The bad news is John Stockton injured on the final play of the first half as Clyde Drexler, going coast to coast, looking for the foul, reaches up and pokes Stockton in the right eye. How serious is the injury? Let's go to Joel Myers for this report.
I'm with Dr. Lyle Mason, one of the team doctors for the Utah Jazz. The extent of the injury, sir?
Well, we don't know the full extent of it yet, but he caught a finger in the eye, and he's got a lot of swelling around the eye, swelling within the eye itself, and the muscles, both the muscles which move the eye and those which cause the pupil to open and close are not functioning fully normally.
What did he tell you? A little double vision as well?
Yes, he has some double vision in the 3 to 5 foot range, and so that's of some concern, of course.
Doubtful he'll return?
Doubtful he'll return.
Thank you, sir. Dick?
Well, then that is serious to the cause. So John Stockton with over 1,000 assists to lead the NBA each of the last 5 years. You've dealt with eye injuries before.
They're very difficult because doctors are afraid. They don't want any permanent damage, so we probably won't see him back here.
One would think the Jazz no chance without Stockton. Delaney Rudd will move into his spot.
And that changes everything, because without the penetration of John Stockton, the easy baskets inside for anybody off his penetration are almost null and void. Delaney Rudd is fine for getting the ball, getting them set up, but then they have trouble making the entry passes.
Well, what team can recover from a superstar's loss? Well, we'll keep you up to date on John Stockton. Any further reports? We're about ready for the second half. The Trailblazers looking for the jump in Game 5. Some 13,000 here at the Portland Coliseum, the 680th consecutive sellout. Saw these numbers posted in the first 24 minutes. The home team Blazers out shooting Utah 55 to 44%. Tyrone Corbin 17 points off the bench, keeping the Jazz in the game. 7 block shots, 3 by Kersey to lead Portland. Karl Malone only 8 shots, and there's Delaney Rudd, the third-year man out of Wake Forest. Rudd takes the spot of John Stockton. He's just seen limited duty in the playoffs in only 8 games, scored a total of 17 points in the entire playoffs of '92.
Dick Cotton can relate to losing his star guard. He lost him against the Trailblazers, and Kevin Johnson hamstring pull changed the whole complexion of the game.
It really will change the complexion of this game. Somebody's going to have to really pick up a lot for him. It's probably that guy.
Karl Malone, who was 4 for 8 in the first half, at a total of 10 points. Corbin led Utah with 17. Kersey with 15 tops for the Blazers. Duckworth chipping in with 12. Kersey, 2 more. He has been sensational throughout the postseason tournament.
You would doubt that it would happen, but what could help the Jazz is that the Trailblazers defense now loses its aggressiveness, becomes a little bit more passive, allows the Jazz to move the ball, get some sort of offensive rhythm going.
Rudd over Porter. Just does beat the buzzer, and it's a rebound for Kevin Duckworth. Again, John Stockton, we hear, is going to perhaps be taken to a local hospital for further ophthalmological examination. Kersey on the follow, and he has 19 points. Doing everything right. He's averaging about 16 throughout the playoffs after a 12-point regular season average.
And notice how much longer and how much more difficult it's going to be for the Jazz to get into the offense.
Yeah, and I think we're going to see just what we did then, a lot of one-on-one basketball, which they don't like to do. Look, Malone trying to take Buck. Buck stays right in front. It is a charge with the shoulder. They're not a good one-on-one basketball team, and they do need the ball delivered by a point guard.
Second foul on the mailman, who will miss the absence of Stockton most of all.
Better highlight that, Cotton, a special point guard.
Williams to Duckworth. 14 for the 7-foot Portland center. He was 5 for 8 in the opening half. Back up to a 12-point lead. Lou Edwards to Eaton, who rarely scores. 4 on the shot clock. Edwards off the glass.
Now, Lou Edwards was huge in Game 4, particularly in the fourth quarter of play, but he had not asserted himself today. Just got 4 points so far and has not been looking to score. They need his offensive cannon.
Kersey, he has the hot hand. Not this time. It's the side of the board, and it's still saved, although it goes backcourt violation, so this is Utah's ball anyway. Rudd to Jeff Malone. And Jeff Malone with his 13th point pulls the Jazz with an 8. Drexler. Duckworth to the open man Porter. He really spots up for the 3. His second of the game.
I think he has a little spot marked over in front of the Portland bench for those threes.
He has been sensational, actually shooting better from three-point range than two-point range.
You see how much room they're giving Rudd and Edwards, and you know they know that the strength of the attack is Karl Malone. They're trying to gang the defense around him.
Malone jamming his way in for his 14th point. It's 69-60 Portland. 8 minutes plus left in the third quarter. Drexler sees the wide open Buck Williams, and miscommunication. Edwards the other way for Utah. Karl Malone stripped by Terry Porter. Here's the mailman doing his diesel work.
Well, this time he gets that good deep position with a great entry pass. And anytime he gets it that deep, Buck Williams did the right thing. Bail out, don't compound the situation by getting him to the line.
Utah trails by 9. Jeff Malone with the runner. Gets his own rebound. Karl Malone, and he is hammered. No foul. Oh, Jerry Sloan. Look at Sloan. He's all the way to the baseline. Couldn't believe there was no whistle. It's a little different.
They always appeal to the official that makes the call, and then they find the guy that will listen the most, and he says, Jay, you know, there's got to be something happening here. Karl Malone right at the rim. Drexler got him across the wrist. No whistle. No, they doubled and knocked him down to the floor.
He wasn't acting that time. Karl Malone pulls up. You're a big guy and all that muscle. He certainly has a nice touch from about 15 in.
And he's going to have to take that shot because he's not going to get underneath there without Stockton feeding.
Buck Williams. Jeff Malone couldn't get the rebound. Duckworth picks up the garbage. 16 for Duckworth. Remember, the Jazz already a man shy at the start of the game. David Benoit, the rookie, jumping jack. Malone can't hit that one. Home for his father's funeral. And now John Stockton lost after being hit in the eye at the end of the first half. Percy. And a reach-in foul against the Jazz. Timeout, 6:50 left in the third period.
Welcome back to Portland. Right now, I am just outside the training room for the Utah Jazz. At first, they thought they would possibly take John Stockton to the hospital. But just a couple of minutes ago, John Stockton said he wants to go back into the game, believe it or not. Right now, the team internist, Dr. Russell Shields, is throwing objects to Stockton from just a few feet away to check his reaction time. And, of course, the vision he was talking about earlier, that was double vision. Dick?
All right, Joel. Delaney Rudd replaces Stockton up. His eyes may not be 100%, but you know Stockton's heart is more than that.
If he can see out of one of them, he wants to play.
He knows how important he is to the success of the Utah Jazz, and he wants to come out and try to give them any kind of effort since they're in a competitive position right now.
Tyrone Corbin is back in for Utah, replacing Blue Edwards. Corbin, the big spark off the bench in the first half. Drexler spots for three. Eaton with the rebound. The Jazz trail by 9. 5 rebounds now for the big center of the Jazz, Eaton. Corbin. Rudd, three-point try. Out to Drexler. Look at Kersey. He's already down court. There he is. And Rudd there to meet him.
You see that intersection right there after the play. The ball is kicked out to Terry Porter, and Kersey's trying to play over the top. Delaney Rudd goes down hard. Now, after the play, Karl Malone came running down, and Drexler stepped in not to let him get to Delaney Rudd.
Fans wanted a flagrant foul on Rudd.
I think it was a hard foul, but I don't think it was flagrant. It was straight up. He didn't try to hurt him. He just tried to keep making the layup and that dunk again.
Looking for his 20th point.
And this is the only place where Kersey hurts the Trailblazers in this game. The free throw line, he has been outstanding in all other phases of the game, but he has struggled at the line, and we saw evidence of that in the closing moments of Game 4.
69% coming into the game in this series for Kersey from the stripe. So he misses 2. Malone behind a pick. Jeff Malone, 15 for him.
The Jazz are really hanging tough without John Stockton.
Kersey from outside.
Well, they talk about the great athletes on the Portland team, and you hear it around the league. Maybe the most athletic group in the entire NBA, and Kersey epitomizes that description.
See, the entry pass is very difficult. That's a long one for Karl Malone. Drexler picks up the foul, but that's a tough pass to make from almost midcourt. Ty Corbin laid it in, but you're not going to get a high percentage of these to go. They cover him down on the box. Now it's a good lob. Drexler trying to get there too late, and the personal.
Check that second foul on Drexler. Mailman trying to convert the three-point play and pull the Jazz within 6. 73-67 Portland. 5 minutes plus left in the third. Shot clock. Taken away by Rudd to Jeff Malone. Here comes Kersey. What a play! And Malone gets the goal anyway, but Kersey with the block, his 4th of the game. 73-69 as Kersey helped back onto the court and really crashing into some of the photographers at that far end, and a young woman who hopefully is okay holding her head. Forget throughout this week, 9 o'clock Eastern, 6 o'clock here on the West Coast. One of the audio operators. It's all NBA. Cleveland, Chicago, Game 5 at the stadium tomorrow night. We'll have Game 6 of this series at the Delta Center in Salt Lake City on Thursday evening, and then Chicago, Cleveland, Game 6 back at Cleveland. And then on the weekend, if it goes, Game 7 will be back here in Portland on Saturday. Game 7 in Chicago on Sunday.
Well, you talked about the athlete, and this is assured 2 points at the other end. No way anybody can get to that ball except Jerome Kersey. What an effort on his part. Malone followed it in for 2.
So without John Stockton, the Jazz, to their credit, have cut a 8-point halftime deficit down to 4.
And it's time for one of those coaching questions. When you lose a great player, does the opposing team relax a little bit?
Well, they have a tendency to.
Drexler off to Porter for 3. Misses everything. Karl Malone has it stripped by Duckworth. And Duckworth beats the buzzer. What a big play. It looked as if Utah would be going the other way down by 4. Duckworth makes it a 6-point lead.
But if I'm Jerry Sloan, I have to just be tickled pink, the fact that my club is staying in there and the way they're playing.
But defensively, Portland has not been as aggressive as they were with John Stockton. Ty Corbin, he's been red hot.
All right, Ron Corbin with 19. 4-point Blazer lead, just under 4 minutes left in the third quarter. We'll stay in touch with the Jazz officials as to the condition of John Stockton, who wants to return.
The guy that Portland's got to get in the offense is Drexler. He has been quiet. Kersey misses that one, but he's only got 9 points, has taken 1 shot here in the third quarter.
Corbin, Malone scores, and he's fouled, and suddenly it's a 2-point game, and the mailman's on the line. Kersey with his 3rd foul. This is rather remarkable.
Notice the defense is lax. That allows Ty Corbin to get that entry pass inside. Kersey trying to react, not there in time, but Karl Malone has had a huge quarter. He's got 13, working on 14, and has made the Jazz in a position where they feel that they may be able to steal a game.
And that's 24 for Karl Malone to lead all scores. It's a one-point game. This is the closest the Jazz have been since the opening minutes. Cliff Robinson is fouled. Into the game for Kersey is Robinson, and Jeff Malone got him his first.
Well, that was that mismatch we talked about. Ty Corbin having to guard a taller Cliff Robinson, because Cliff can post him anytime he wants to, and he's going to have some help from somebody. And now he goes to the line for two.
Cliff Robinson, who started wearing the headbands, he told us, after a bad haircut from his brother, and now has his own fan corps. Boy, they look sporty, don't they? Eaton with a rebound, and here comes Utah with a chance to tie it with a field goal. Jazz have never led in the game. Porter on Delaney Rudd. Clock at 6. Corbin, a little short on that one. Porter, Duckworth, Robinson. Porter, that's a three-pointer. His third of the game. He has just crushed Utah's hopes here in Portland with a barrage of trades.
That extra pass is what found Terry Porter open that time, but what Portland's got to do is do it at the defensive end. They have not been able to stop the Jazz here in the quarter.
Rudd inside. That frees up Corbin. Nice move by Rudd. Doesn't matter who the man is taking it up the middle. It does do good things, doesn't it, Cut?
It certainly does.
Drexler, a three for him. Oh, my. 2 minutes to go in the third. Blazers back on top by 6.
They just break your heart with those threes if you're the visiting team.
Karl Malone. Well, there's the power forward at work. Power with a capital P.
Malone is up to the challenge. The Trailblazers sent 3 people at him that time. He missed his shot, stayed after it. So Portland defensively has got to find a way to get control of Karl Malone. Turnover.
Corbin sets up Malone with Porter to beat, and Porter's not going to risk the foul. Jeff Malone, beneficiary of that turnover. He now has 17, and back to within 2 come the Jazz. Well, the knock on the Blazers the last several years has been they get a big lead. They had a 14-point lead today, and they don't have the killer instinct. And Porter is tripped as he drives. And with that, a timeout. 1:13 left in the third. The Jazz are in it.
Promo, it's 82-80. Look, join us on the Tonight Show next. Tom Cruise, Simply Red, Kathy and Jimmy. Now, can we get back to the game? Come on! Oh, this is great.
Come on, Utah. Get back to the game.
I'm going to finish my part. Get back to the game. Tom Cruise.
All right, Bradford Marsalis, the musical director of the new Tonight Band. Jay Leno, they'll be live tonight after your local news on the West Coast, the usual time, 11:30. There's Gerald Eugene Sloan, age 50, 6 times an All-NBA defensive player.
Well, he certainly inspired his team with the loss of Stockton. I don't want anybody to tell me that a coach is not in the game. Jerry Sloan is in this game.
Mike Brown has been sent in by Sloan to replace Mark Eaton. Eaton committed that last foul, his 4th. The final minute plus of the third quarter that has seen Utah not wilt with a loss of Stockton, but actually charge back to within 2. Duckworth. Stolen by Malone.
It's been an aggressive defense by the Utah Jazz that has got them back in the ball game, and a passive defense by Portland. Blue Edwards
doesn't hit it. Rebound Buck Williams. He now has 11 boards. Final 40 seconds of the third. Drexler. Glide now with 14.
One of the things about Jerry Sloan is he believes in being a man. Regardless of what the situation is, you just tighten it up a little bit more and you play a little bit harder with the hand that you've got. And you can see he's passed that on to the Jazz.
Mike Brown inside. Can't tip it in, but underneath is Blue Edwards, and he is fouled. Edwards is only 6'5", but a great leaper. He jumped 6'8" in high school, high jumped, and uses that skill to play taller. Cliff Robinson with a foul, his third.
The tip, and the ball was tipped right to Blue Edwards. It looked as though Buck Williams was the guy that got him across the arm, but it is Cliff Robinson with his third. 1-point game.
The Jazz have never led, but they were down by 14 late in the second quarter. Shot clock is off. Drexler. Breaking out is Edwards. He's got a man wide open, but Robinson intercepts, and we got a foul. Jake O'Donnell calling a very difficult foul on Terry Porter, who is racing back to help out. That's what you were talking about, Cosby.
Well, Jake felt that they lost the ball because he got fouled, and that certainly would be unfair. And that's the kind of official Jake O'Donnell is. You see him battling for the board. Blue comes out. He would have made a play for an easy layup, but Terry Porter holds him so he cannot finish off the play.
Edwards with a chance to give Utah the lead, but misses the front end of one in the penalty. He's a 77% free throw shooter on the season. And after 3 quarters, well, we've still got 2.7 seconds. Let's see if Portland can get a... Oh, almost stolen by Corbin. And that's the end of the third quarter. Oh, my. Without John Stockton, the Utah Jazz making this Game 5 a most dramatic contest as they have tied it at 84. We'll be back after these messages and a word from your local station. Nearing 8 o'clock on the West Coast, sunset in Portland, and the Trailblazers hitting 3 3-point shots in the third period, and yet outscored by 8 as the Jazz have rallied to tie behind Karl Malone, who scored 16 points in the third period.
If Portland is to win this ball game, they've got to have better offensive execution, but they have to get after the Jazz at the defensive end, which they didn't do. For 2 quarters now, Jazz have outscored the Trailblazers.
Buck Williams over Mike Brown, a little short, tipped in. It looked like Drexler got it. Drexler does get the tap in. It's the best 2 out of 3. This fourth quarter so critical. Mike Brown, Harris gets it off to Corbin in time to tie it at 86. 23 for Tyrone Corbin, and for Ty, that equals his high for the entire year. Danny Ainge pulls up. Karl Malone rips down the rebound. Again, the Jazz have never led in the game. Jeff Malone gets the basket. No basket. Interference by the Jazz.
Malone says yes. He didn't even complain about that. When the ball was still in the cylinder, Ty Corbin tapped it in.
I'm really impressed with the poise and the confidence that the Jazz are playing with.
Without David Benoit, back for his father's funeral, without John Stockton, his eye cut at the end of the first half, and Jerry Storm playing with 10 men. They've never led. This is perhaps the opportunity for the first time.
Now the Jazz have to show some...
Mike Brown gives the Jazz the lead, 88-86.
They have to show some continued aggressiveness at the defensive end. They are getting any shot they want at the offensive end of the floor.
Foul on Jeff Malone is second. First team foul against Utah. 10:18 to go. Utah 88, Portland 86. First team to win 2 goes to the NBA Finals. That same situation exists as the Bulls, the world champions, defend against Cleveland at the stadium tomorrow night. You'll see that at 9 o'clock Eastern, 6 here in the West.
Trailblazers have a small team that they're playing against. They also have a small lineup, but they are not going to the basket. Another turnover, and it's aggressive defensive pressure by Corbin that forces that one away from Jerome Kersey.
Getting a little tough to swallow for Rick Alleman on the far sidelines. Now the crowd with 10 minutes to go, trying to help the defense. Drexler on Jeff. Karl Malone over Buck. And Utah's lead is 4 points at 90-86, 28 for the mailman. He has started to deliver. Karl Malone rested only 2 minutes the entire game. Drexler.
See, the Trailblazers real tentative right now. Nobody wants to shoot. Nobody's going to the basket. Deep shot, Drexler.
And he's going to get the foul after the shot. Blue Edwards runs into Drexler. That not dissimilar from the play where Drexler complained in game 4, although Jeff Malone didn't run into him. Malone actually had his back to him, and Drexler went down, argued about the play, and got his second technical, was dismissed. Utah by 4. 9:27 left.
Kraft presents Genuine Moments.
Tonight's Miller Genuine Draft Moment takes us back to the playing days of Blazer great Bill Walton, the first draft pick in '74. Big Red blocked over 500 shots, pulled down over 2,800 rebounds in his great Blazer career. Walton, a key member of Portland's only championship back in 1977. His number retired here by the Portland management. In recognition of this moment, Miller Genuine Draft donates $1,000 to the Thurgood Marshall Scholarship Fund. As the players return to the court, 9:27 left, Utah by 4, but the Jazz have committed 3 fouls, Cotton. Portland without a team foul in this 4th quarter.
That's a very bad sign as far as the Jazz are concerned. The visiting coach never wants to see his team in early foul trouble in the 4th quarter because they will pay for it later.
And particularly since the Trailblazers are struggling to score. We could see a reversal of what we saw in game 4, where the Jazz went to the line at the crucial part of the ball game, were able to score cheaply. But Portland has not had any consistency in their offense in the second half of play. And we'll see whether their defense turns it up.
18 now for the All-Pro Drexler. Back to finish second to Michael Jordan as the most valuable player honors this year. Jeff Malone blocked. Corbin knocked it away from his own teammate, Cliff Robinson, at the other end. It's tied at 90. And now some pressure put on by the Portland defense, and Malone throws it away. Karl Malone knows he should have shot.
2 straight turnovers against some pressure. That is a bad sign. We may see Delaney Rudd come back in.
But it's a sign for Portland that aggressive defense makes good things happen, and they didn't do that in the 3rd quarter.
Terry Porter on the pick and roll to Buck Williams. Karl Malone with the missed shot. Malone leading again in rebounds. That's his 11th. A whistle away from the ball. Foul is on Buck Williams, trying to halt Karl Malone underneath. First team foul, second on Williams.
They got Delaney Rudd in for that ball handling, and we'll see if that takes the pressure off the Jazz.
Rudd has not scored, but he had 5 assists in that 3rd period. Jeff Malone. And Utah reclaims the lead at 92-90. 8:12 to go. Drexler fouled at the other end. So that not only will send Drexler to the line, but means from now on, with 8 minutes plus remaining, Portland has the penalty.
Good recognition that Drexler had an advantage against Jeff Malone. A long pass, Malone pushed underneath.
The reason he had the advantage, Malone had just hit a shot on the baseline, and Drexler was out in front of him. Made it easy for him, and it was Porter was smart enough to see it.
Foul on Jeff Malone, his 3rd, as Drexler sights in for his 20th point. And ties it at 92. turnover off the pressure. Whoa, Mike Brown knew he'd foul Porter. Terry looking for more than just 2 shots, wanted the flagrant foul and the 2. 4th foul on Mike Brown.
The most important thing about that for Portland is Porter went to the hoop to get them in the penalty situation. The crowd reacted because they didn't feel Mike Brown made a play for the ball. That's why they were calling for a flagrant foul. Brown, menacing look on his face right now, but he's got the same problem Eaton does. 4 personal fouls, and if the Trailblazers continue to attack, Cotton, you could be in the game.
Without a doubt, because if you can hit free throws, you're going to score a lot.
Where are you going to play him, though? Where are you going to put old Lowell Fitzsimmons? We got a timeout with 7:52 left in the 4th.
On the final play of the first half, an unfortunate circumstance for the Utah Jazz. Their lead guard, John Stockton, taking a finger to the eye with a second to go from Clyde Drexler. Inadvertent, of course, but Stockton out ever since. Welcome back to the Coliseum. I'm Joel Myers alongside the doctor that has been with John Stockton ever since he suffered the injury. Dr. Russell Shields, the extent and the process that you've gone through.
The injury was an his eye in the left eye, medial upper aspects to the sclera. Did not involve the cornea, but caused some swelling of the eye and swelling in the socket, and his problem has been of vision. He's having some double vision, he's having some blurry vision, which is obviously interfering with his ability to perform. It is improving. It has improved rather dramatically, but still with a little bit of distance involved, he's having some problem with double vision.
No way in the world he'll be back tonight.
We're watching. He wants to come back. We're just making some judgments here in the last few minutes.
Thank you, Doctor. Dick?
All right. That sounds as if it is positive for those Utah faithful. And meanwhile, Terry Porter missed both free throws. The game remains tied at 92 with 7:45 to go. Delaney Rudd for Stockton, handling the ball, has not scored, but has dished out 6 assists. Karl Malone, Buck Williams on him. Malone from outside, way off the mark. Porter sets the Blazers to running him. Oh, that was a good save by Corbin as Jerome Kersey had his sights on another solo dash to the iron.
Well, the transition defense by Utah has been good overall outside of a couple quick steals against them.
Now they've done an excellent job of getting back, playing defense with their hands, with the ball in the air. They have been the aggressors in the second half of play, and that's what's got them in a tied position.
Stolen for a moment by Corbin, got a hand on it. 11 on the shot clock. The Blazers undefeated at home during the entire playoffs, 7-0. Jerry Sloan's team unbeaten at home in the playoffs as well. In fact, they've lost only 4 times in 49 games all year. Kersey, another big score for Jerome Kersey from Longwood College of Virginia. He has 23. Portland back in the lead. Crowd on its feet. Mailman going to the post box and ties it up with his 30th point. Leads all scorers. Now the Olympian at the other end dishes to Kersey. Gets it right back, goes Kersey.
The guys that have made the difference so far, Jerome Kersey for the Trailblazers, Ty Corbin. Karl Malone has done what he's supposed to do. The crowd trying to get into the ball game now.
Good move by Malone. Went right around Drexler to tie it at 96. 6:10 to go. Drexler trying to return the favor against Jeff. Rebound Karl. His 12th board.
The Jazz now have the tempo of the game in their favor. Portland's going to have to continue to be aggressive at the defensive end, force some turnovers, and try to get into the open court.
There's that struggle inside. Buck Williams and Malone, and Jeff outside, unable to hit the jumper. Cliff Robinson misses the drive. It's tipped in. No basket. basket. No basket. Drexler has the foul over the back, his third, as he went for the tip. Time out by Sloan.
You're going to see Cliff come in and miss it easy when he got bumped a little by Brown. And then you're going to see Clyde over the top just a little bit. But don't forget, I told you about Jake O'Donnell. He'll make the call.
With 5:29 to go, we play a new game for the Edge in this series.
It's annoying. Jay Leno with Branford Marcellus getting ready for our Tonight Show coming up next. But we're going to do it right after. What's the score? 96, 96? 96. Let's get back to him. Tom Cruise is here tonight. How about that? Kathy and Jimmy, the music of Simply Red. But let's get back to the game. We're going to come back after the game. See, we're not even going to come here until the game is over. That's how important it is to us.
You know, Bob Costas is talking about leaving the studio to do play-by-play. I think we found his replacement. Leno, he just fits right in with this crew. 96 all, 5:29 to go.
Eaton is in the ball game now, so Portland, who had a chance to drive when they got in a penalty, will find it more difficult with Eaton in the ball game.
We just received word from Joel Myers that John Stockton will not return tonight. Delaney Rudd's the man, yet to score. But he had a big one against you to win a game, didn't he, Cox?
He certainly did.
Karl Malone and Buck Williams.
Shot clock at 5.
And the postman rings it up for his 32nd. 5 minutes to go. Utah by 2. Blocked by Eaton. And the foul on Rudd. His first.
Well, you can see Jerry Sloan there. He's going to work the officials. Look how hard he's working in this ball game. He has really got his team playing in this second half. That's the kind of player he was, so why wouldn't he be that type of coach? When something's going against you, let's just get tougher.
Let those officials get together. They know every aftershave lotion in the league by you coaches. You're right down on their neck. And there's Porter missing 3 in a row. He's 3 for 5 now, 2 for 5 in the game. This to pull Portland within 1.
This happened to Porter in the Phoenix series where he had a great ball game but couldn't make some free throws at crucial times. He gets 1 of 2.
4:45 to go. There's Malone. He was on the block. There's a difference. Stockton would have gotten it to him a little earlier. Corbin with 5. Ty Corbin and the foul. Kevin Duckworth has his 4th. And Rick Adelman thought that was just good defense.
The difference between Stockton and Rudd, that ball would have been there. Now you see he has to turn around. Stockton delivers the ball right off the dribble. And there is no hesitation when Malone comes to that spot. But to Rudd's credit, it hasn't made any difference so far in this ball game. The Jazz are on the lead, and they have control of the tempo of the ball game.
And Ty Corbin with 25, his top effort all season for the Utah Jazz. They acquired him earlier this year from the Minnesota Timberwolves for Thurl Bailey, and that's his career playoff high, 25. Porter to Duckworth, over Eaton. Kevin Duckworth pulls the Blazers within 199, 4 minutes to go. A huge game. 2 wins, and you're in the finals. No one's been able to win on the other team's home court. This is the closest any of the previous games have come. Jeff Malone outside, and the former Washington Bullet has 23.
They have had some big shots from Jeff Malone, Ty Corbin. Kersey comes back with a big one of his own.
Jerome Kersey with 27. 102, 101, 3:23 to go. Looking for Karl Malone. Corbin almost knocked away. Taken away by Porter. Stolen back by Jeff Malone. Big Carl to the basket, no foul. And it's off Karl Malone to Portland.
A nervous series of plays. Drexler and Porter had the ball. They lost it. Karl Malone got it back. As you'll see, the ball bounces off Karl Malone on the floor. Portland gets it back.
I tell you, both teams are really hustling, and you know both of them want to win this because this may and probably will decide the series.
Terry Porter hits, and the Blazers are back in front. 103, 102, 20 for Terry Porter. Nearly 13,000. Blazer mania. No one sitting down.
He's wide open.
Corbin way off that time. Porter rebounds. Jeff Malone looks tired, looks up at the clock. Approaching the 2-minute mark and a timeout. Trailblazers with a score. Portland 103. Utah 102. You look at the timeout situation. Both coaches have plenty to use, and the Blazers have committed only 3 team fouls, so they have a foul to give. I want to take this time, Cotton, to thank you for joining us. This guy named Magic Johnson just called, said Cotton get a little too good. He's going to join us Thursday night for Game 6.
Always move over for Magic Johnson. He's my guy.
All right, thanks. Great job. We've enjoyed having you with us. Well, give us a little coaching expertise here. What do you think? Adelman called the timeout. What's in his mind?
Well, his players never seem to get rattled here. They always play with great confidence, so I know they're concerned about it, but they're not going to be playing afraid. They'll still try to do the same things they've been doing. They do have a foul to take on defense, and certainly the Jazz are in foul trouble. That still may tell the tale of the outcome of the game.
The Trailblazers need to do what they do best, and that's go through Clyde Drexler. Let's see if they come up with a play for him. They like to set up a pick and roll. We'll find out whether they execute. Duckworth trying to set the screen.
There it is. Duckworth rolling to the basket, and Porter shoots. And it goes over the top to Utah.
Duckworth is unhappy because he never had better rebounding position, and the ball went over the top. He was there, nobody in front of him. The ball didn't come to him.
2 minutes to go. Utah with the ball down by 1. Karl Malone has led all scorers with 32. He's on the far side. And here he comes, trying to get position on Buck Williams, and Williams doing a good job. Too good, and a foul is called, the third on Buck. That was 1 to give, so from now on, Utah in the penalty.
Trying to come across, they did everything on pressure of the ball, but you can see the hook underneath as Buck Williams got caught.
Well, some of these guys would be great offensive linemen in the NFL, wouldn't they? The way they get up into that jersey. 1:42 to go. Wow. Collision underneath, no whistle.
They were trying to set a screen for Karl Malone. He's got the ball now.
Over Buck Williams. It won't fall. Clyde Drexler pulls it off. Kersey at the other end draws the foul. And Jerry Sloan points back at the other end saying, where was the foul on my man?
One thing I've always liked about the Blazers, they don't play scared. Delaney runs in there trying to set a pick on Buck. The referee says, get up, Delaney, let's play the game. Sloan would have liked the foul. A lot of teams, when they got that rebound, like Drexler got it, would have held it up and everything.
You think it isn't tough? Rudd got knocked down there, went down the other end, and then Kersey ran him down at the other end.
Well, the problem right here, Kersey under pressure. Can he deliver? He needs the first one to go in. Otherwise, we know the second one's going to be short.
He's 2 for 4 today. That's his 28th point. A superb all-around game for Kersey. Both ends of the court. He has 28, Duckworth 20, Drexler 20, and Porter 20 for Blazers over the 20 mark. And throwing 9 rebounds as well for Kersey in a complete game. The Blazers by 3. 1:21 to go.
This is the biggest stop of the night for the Trailblazers right here. Let's see if they're up to it.
Corbin left alone, hits again. And what Kersey has been to Portland, Ty Corbin has answered for the Jazz. Final minute.
Pick and roll.
Six on the shot clock. Kersey doesn't get it, and Karl Malone pulls on the rebound. The fans wanted a foul. So did Adelman, who holds the top of his head. Disbelief. The final precious seconds. Utah with the ball trailing 105-104. There's the mailman. 2 seconds. Nope. With the noise, they didn't hear the buzzer. 24-second violation, and the crowd was a factor. 19 seconds to go. Danny Ainge set in by Adelman.
Kersey out. And the Trailblazers don't have to shoot the ball. The Jazz have to get up. Otherwise, Portland runs the clock out and wins by 1.
Whom do you foul?
Well, they're going to foul Porter, and he's normally their best free thrower under the pressure, but tonight we've seen that touch leave him.
3 for 6 tonight for Terry Porter. With the loss of John Stockton felt in many ways defensively running the game, but also their best three-point shooter, Utah, not available.
I think Jerry Sloan was a little upset, too. They used too many seconds off the clock before they fouled. He wanted to foul early.
13 seconds to go. A 2-point lead. Jerry Sloan calls time. Karl Malone says, take it easy, I'll shoot the 3. 20-second timeout. His second shot, Jerry Sloan, perhaps he didn't want that timeout to be taken by his Utah club.
You can see him. He did not want the timeout. He wanted it after the second free throw, but Delaney Rudd, who hasn't played a lot, called the timeout.
Mental mistakes, and those are the things that coaches die behind right there. They were fortunate they had a 20, so it didn't hurt them because they want to have that ball at midcourt after the quarter free throw if he makes it.
3-point lead, 13 seconds left.
If you're Portland, you should foul for possession of the basketball. Look.
For a three-pointer. Oh, my! Right down the middle. With 5.5 seconds to go, Delaney Rudd for the injured John Stockton, who had not scored in the game, hits a sensational high-arcing 3. It's tied at 107. Timeout.
No way do they get a three-point play as you come down. You're up by 3. Terry Porter's going to get picked off by Malone. And Buckwood, I mean, that time it was Cliff Robinson guarding him. He didn't step up. I think Rick Adelman wanted to take a foul, force him to shoot free throws, and miss the second one. Instead, they took him for granted, and he buried a 3 and tied it.
What are the odds, though? Delaney Rudd hasn't scored a point the entire game, has played only 17 minutes in the entire series, and he hits that trey.
Well, the odds are he beat me in double overtime at the end of a game.
Well, that's why you want him to be fouled.
You should have fouled him.
Possession is everything at that point in the ball game. You got 13 seconds, a 3-point lead. The most you can get out of it is a 2. Buck Williams on the ball.
5.5 seconds to go. To whom will they try to move this ball, do you think, Coach?
Well, they'll try to go to Drexler without a doubt. He's going to decide this game.
It's batted away by the Jazz, and that costs 3.3 seconds. They're down to 2 2/10.
Outstanding defensive play by Eaton, stepping over and cutting off Clyde's driving lane.
They didn't give Drexler a good angle. Portland's going to have to take another timeout and try to set up a better play for a timeout. They like to go through Porter. We'll see if they get enough time.
Well, that's a lot of action there for 3.3 seconds. Shows you how much time there really, even at 2-2, you got a chance for a pass in and another pass for the shot.
But if you're the coach on defense, it seems like an eternity, Dick, that the clock never runs. You want it to get over so you can go the overtime.
An added footnote on Delaney Rudd's dramatic tray to tie this game. The entire season, Rudd made only 11 three-point shots. Well, he was a great baseball player in high school, played freshman baseball at Wake Forest, was a 500 hitter. The Yankees liked him. Well, that was the home run for Utah to flirt with a possible overtime. I'm sure Jay Leno is pleased to hear that we might go an extra 5 minutes here. Don't forget, right after your local news in the East Midwest and Rocky Mountain area, it'll be the Jay Leno Show. Usual time, 11:30 in the West. And prime time, NBA playoffs on NBC tomorrow night. Michael Jordan returns home against the Cleveland Cavaliers. They're tied at 2 games all and down to a best 2 of 3. Then we'll be in Utah. You think that Delta Center, win or lose, won't be screaming for this Jazz team that has rallied in the second half, played with such determination without their leader, their star, their Olympian John Stockton. And then it'll be more primetime Friday night. All those games at 9 o'clock Eastern, 6 o'clock on the West Coast. The game of the year for us, 107, 2 seconds and a couple of ticks left. Ainge, Porter, and Drexler, 3 long-range shooters in. Williams will inbound with Duckworth serving as the screen man.
Well, Portland's in a catch-and-shoot situation. Porter doesn't get it off.
Duckworth does. It would not have counted. It would not have counted had it gone down. Jake O'Donnell, looking for the red light, had waved it off as Duckworth rattled it out. We go to a 5-minute overtime period. Oh.
Duckworth had a clean look at the basket because they knew Eaton would be sucked inside, but they never had enough time to get the shot away.
We want to reiterate a story we brought you at halftime. Looks like Doug Moe will be the new head coach of the Philadelphia 76ers. The former coach of the Nuggets will be announced as the Sixers head man at a 10:30 a.m. Eastern time press conference tomorrow in Philadelphia. Jimmy Lynam, presently the coach, goes upstairs to become the general manager, and GM Gene Shue will have some sort of player personnel position. In position in Burbank, Jay Leno, Branford Marsalis, and the rest of the new Tonight Show crew, and they will be on the air half an hour after this game ends, whenever it ends. And I assume you'll all be staying up till about 3 a.m. to watch later tonight, won't you? Let's go back to Dick Enberg.
All right, Bob, neither team with a winning record in overtime. The 3-4 record for Portland includes a sensational Game 4 at Phoenix against Cotton Fitzsimmons' Suns team when Portland won 153-151. And that was the game that really turned that series to the Blazers' side. Utah, meanwhile, playing without 2 starters, David Benoit and John Stockton. And Stockton, not an ordinary starter, one of the great players in the league, managing to rally from 8 down at halftime without both men. And now we start the overtime, and we have an early jump on the...
They say Kersey stole it on the way up, so it'll be the Utah Jazz ball. The team that is the most assertive, the most aggressive in the overtime is the one that generally wins. We'll see which one that is.
Fouls could be a key for Utah. Eaton has 5, Mike Brown with 4. They're 2 big men. Duckworth has 4 for Portland. 2-pointer by Rudd. Tap back out by big Mark Eaton. And Rudd looks over at Sloan. Sloan shows 4 fingers. Here comes the play. Shot clock. Deflected out of bounds by Drexler. Yes, Drexler thought maybe Utah had touched it last. 8 seconds on the clock.
Well, the Jazz are looking for Karl Malone, but they can't find him, and everyone else has been shut off. So Portland has done a fairly decent job on this first possession by the Jazz.
Malone from way outside. Eaton there to bat it home. Mark Eaton's 4th point of the entire game gives Utah the first points of overtime. Clyde Drexler rattles in the tire. He has 22. Now Malone in the slot. Karl underneath the Eaton. Just does save it. And now it's Malone. Corbin steals it from 3 Blazers, and he is hammered. And look at Sloan up there to applaud the effort of Tyrone Corbin. Kersey, the foul, his 4th.
In the first half of play, it was the Trailblazer banging the board and getting the second effort. But in the overtime here, it is the Utah Jazz. There's Ty Corbin with that ball, trying to find the seam. Jerome Kersey fouls him to make sure he doesn't get a chance to shoot it, but he's on the line, and he has been huge for Sloan.
Corbin's 28th point gives Utah the lead. Grew up in Columbia, South Carolina. High school drove the school bus to earn $10 a day. His teammate Xavier McDaniel of the New York Knicks. Everyone knew about the X-Man. No one knew about Corbin. He was not even recruited heavily by major schools. DePaul found him only because they had an empty spot. Porter. Boy, forcing a tough shot, looking for the foul, and he hits it anyway. 24 for Terry Porter. Portland by 1. Malone spinning. Out of bounds to the Blazers. Looking for the foul with Sloan. Way outside, Duckworth. And the big guy gives the Blazers a 3-point lead. He has 22. Sloan wants timeout. Just under 3 minutes to go. The home team by 3.
Karl Malone in his favorite spot. They're letting Ty Corbin feed him. He gets it, spins immediately. Buck Williams goes straight up. Malone throws his arm out. Danny Crawford says, let's let the players decide. He gives it a no call. Jerry Sloan very upset with the no call, like all of us coaches. Let's face it, we want the call when it's against us.
But you saw a graphic example right there. Malone spun. They had a good defensive effort. The ball bounced off him, so the officials were right that time. Now, you wouldn't have said that.
No, I would have been just like Sloan all over him. But I'm going to tell you, when you see it again, slow-mo, it was an excellent no call.
Let the players decide the game. We've got just under 3 minutes to go in overtime. It was tied at 107 at regulation end. Again, if you're just joining us, the Utah star, point guard, the top assist man for 5 straight years in the league, John Stockton, injured in the final seconds of the first half. Poked in the eye, has not played since. And David Benoit, another starter, a rookie, home for his father's funeral. The Jazz, nevertheless, gallantly have stayed with the heavily favored home team, the Trailblazers. Malone over Buck Williams. Not there. Rebound, Duckworth. And now with a 3-point lead, the Blazers in some command. They'll chew up some time.
This is where you really want to be very quick with ball movement, player movement. The longer you take, the easier it is for the defense to set Portland against the shot clock at 5.
Drexler sees the opening and seizes it. 24 for Clyde Drexler. Run for 3. Saved by Drexler. And now the ball in the Stars' hands.
Well, Drexler will decide this game. I think that's what Rick Adelman said to us yesterday. We want Drexler to have it.
1:40 to go. 9 on the shot clock. Drexler again sets it up for Duckworth. Big game for the big man, Duckworth. And Drexler with the assist. Led his team in scoring. Led his team in assists. Clyde Drexler. And showing that here in the overtime. A 7-point lead. A minute and a half to go.
Now, the loss of Stockton now becoming very evident because they're having trouble getting into their offense and getting Karl Malone the ball. Shot clock at 5.
And a foul underneath on Buck Williams, his 4th. Buck Williams assigned at the start of this series, you stop Karl Malone, and you're not always going to get help, and he has done a sensational job, especially in the 3 games in Portland.
They like to start on the left side, and you'll see how hard he's working. Now he'll beat Buck Williams across the lane and bruise him on the way to getting that foul, and he goes to the line, but his team is down 7.
117, 111. That's 33 points for Karl Malone. Mike Brown in for Utah, and Mark Eaton goes out. Malone 5 for 5 from the stripe tonight. He was second to Jordan in scoring on the regular season when he averaged 28 even. He's averaging just at 29 in the playoffs.
Dick, let's ask Cotton how important the psychology of being this close in this game. What does that mean to the Utah Jazz in terms of maybe they can win the series?
Well,
maybe will be flat.
There's no trophies for second place. I can tell you that now.
Malone hits them both. 5-point lead, Portland. And now Utah going to have to spend some fouls and force the Blazers to go to the line. 7 seconds.
Portland's going to have to get the ball in the air.
Drexler wide open is Buck Williams, and that should do it. They're really celebrating now.
Karl Malone on a pick and roll. They weren't going to foul him. 119-114. Mailman with 36 big points.
Buck Williams, another slam with 36 seconds to go. And a foul. Mike Brown got him.
You can see Kersey coming in, making a nice pass to Buck. I tell you, Steve, I have been impressed with the Blazers in this last 2 minutes with their execution offensively down the stretch.
So you don't think, Coach, that the Jazz are going to be encouraged by what happened today? They were expecting to lose this game anyway, but they put this thing into overtime. They think they might be able to come back here because you said it's a 7-game series.
I still think it's a 7-game series.
They don't want to do that. Stop the clock with a lead with a foul, and with 27 seconds, Cliff Robinson commits his 4th foul. 7-point game. You can score points while that clock isn't moving, and you're down. That's the best of the world. So only his 4th point. Delaney Rudd, whose dramatic 3-pointer, tied it at game's end. Look at that balance for Portland on the right. 4 men over 24. Malone, Corbin, and Jeff Malone for the Jazz. Stockton had 10 assists and 6 points in the first half.
Well, you were right, Cotton, when you said they'd have to get some help from their friends, and they got it from the right one. Big play there.
Karl Malone pushing off. No whistle, and he makes it a 3-point play. The game is 4 points now. And the foul on Corbin against Danny Ainge. 21 seconds plus remaining. Reminder again, tomorrow night, 9 o'clock Eastern, 6 o'clock here in the West. Game 5 in Chicago. The Cavaliers and the Bulls on prime time here on NBC. And we'll be back on Thursday night in Salt Lake City. Game 6 of this series. And, of course, the key to that will be whether or not John Stockton's eye will improve that condition, improve the double vision so that he will be back running the show. Danny Ainge. That free throw means that it'll take a 3 and a 2 to tie as Kersey comes back in for Duckworth. And Duckworth has had some big shots tonight.
Duckworth answered the bell. He came up big. You can see he's grinning, feeling that his contribution certainly has made a difference. Ainge cracks both of those.
All that playoff experience benefiting Danny Ainge. Rudd takes takes it all away and scores. 123-119.
Portland wants to play keep away.
9 seconds. Haynes with 7, and they finally stop the clock with 6.5 seconds as Corbin commits the foul. His second.
Well, it'll be a disappointing loss for the Jazz if they go on and lose this ball game. And knowing Jerry Sloan like I do, yes, he's proud of his team, but he's not one of those guys that says, hey, you know, we played well, we got beat. He wanted to win this game. What a job he did in the second half. And I have to say that Rick Adams did the same thing, keeping his poise, because they were on the verge of losing this basketball game at home.
And all of the pressure certainly was on the Trailblazers in the second half to find a way to keep the Jazz from stealing it. And they got a little good fortune along the way.
6-point game. It will take 2 miracle threes for Utah to tie it. Sloan looking for just that chance. 14. Utah rallying in the late third quarter, took the lead and tied it on Delaney Rudd's 3-point shot in the final seconds. And in overtime, Portland charging into a 6-point advantage. Tomorrow, or 2 nights from now, Thursday night, Game 6 in Utah, where the Jazz have lost only 4 times all year. They're 8-0 in the playoffs, so has all the earmarks of a 7-game series. And if 7 is required, it'll be on Saturday afternoon here in Portland. Meanwhile, Chicago and Cleveland, each team winning at the other team's home court, go to Game 5 tomorrow at the stadium in Chicago. They'll play on Friday night here on NBC, and their game will be on Sunday, either afternoon or evening.
The Jazz are not a big three-point shooting team, but we know Rudd can make it. Blue Edwards has got three-point range, as well as Ty Corbin. There's a delay of game. Karl Malone occasionally will step back and shoot one. So they're looking for a quick score and then to come back and give a foul, but they've got to take whatever's available.
Delaney Rudd fires and gets a 2. 125-121, and the foul on Ainge, who will march to the other end where he's been perfect from the line.
You know, Dick, all the talk coming up to Game 6 will be about John Stockton. We know that, and the injury. But I want you to know, I have thoroughly enjoyed this game. This has been a really a good basketball game, well played by both teams. How can we have better enthusiasm than this?
Sounds like a guy that would love to have been over there on one of those benches.
Yeah, you ought to get into coaching kind. If you love this game like that, you ought to try coaching it.
I tried, but I didn't have any luck.
Haynes with a 4-point lead. Really not that much pressure on these shots, knowing he's got the 4. Nevertheless, he's 5 for 5 down this overtime stretch.
Well, the 2 pitchers, Sloan looks the better of the wear. I mean, Rick Adelman is whipped from this game right here.
Well, Danny Ainge steps up and hits all 6 free throws. Number 32, Karl Malone, with 3.2 seconds left. A blind throw by Edwards, and the Portland Trailblazers take the 1-game lead with 2 games to go. They're 8-0 at home in the playoffs after 2 easy wins. They ran into a battle tonight, 127-121 in overtime. They are 1 win from their 3rd NBA Finals. The final score, Portland 127, Utah 121. Tomorrow night at 9 o'clock Eastern, NBC's coverage of the NBA playoffs continues. Game 5, Eastern Conference Finals, Cleveland against Michael Jordan's Chicago Bulls.